Hello, good afternoon, traders. Happy weekend. Hope you're all having a nice, relaxing time. I want to make a video on setup one on an opportunity on the 21st. I want to talk a little bit about why I focus on this setup so much, and I want the traders that are newer here to focus on this setup and do it at least 50 times. 50 before you actually get into the other setups. So I've actually got, three main setups. One is a reversal setup that I'm about to describe. The second is a continuation pattern, or not continuation pattern, but a continuation strategy. And the third is a pure momentum strategy. But setup one, the kind of glory of this is that it's very reliable. I've been using it as my bread and butter trade for years, especially if you use it correctly in line with a daily bias, which you have to be doing. As you know, we have a 3-step process, which is, first of all, swing structure and resting liquidity on the book. Second is intraday levels. That's from market profile and volume profile. Then the third step, this is systematic. By systematic, I mean it's kind of mechanical. This is your kind of footprint and heat map analysis. Okay. So this is what I preach and teach, and you have to do every step before you enter a trade. Okay. So where are we at? This is a chart of the NQ futures. It's on the 4-hour time frame, and I want to talk about a trade that occurred early morning on the 21st. So what do we know on swing structure just generally? H4 is making lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, and I also note that we have taken this daily swing low from Tuesday, and also these swing lows from Monday on the 5th. So we'll just note those as well. So obviously the market is moving down here for liquidity. This is external structure. It moved from internal to external. So as you know, this is how the market moves. So a move down here overnight shouldn't be a surprise. Now, do you automatically look for reversals after a daily swing low has been taken? Not quite, because quite often the market won't reverse quite that easily. It will maybe do a sweep down, inducement kind of reversal to entice traders, and then a further move down to grab more liquidity, because a lot of people like to trade what's known as the turtle soup setup, which is a false breakout of some kind of structure. So we have to be cognizant of manipulation of those kinds of traders who want to trade turtle soup. So just because we've made a movement below this daily swing low doesn't automatically mean we're turning bullish. Okay, so we just follow the swing structure on the 4-hour time frame. So far so good. You should be looking for short trades this morning, or not this morning, the morning of the 21st, which is what we're interested in. Okay, so why have I marked this vertical line? Well, I'll show you. So let's go into market replay mode, and we'll just do it from like 5:45. So I try to be awake and alert and at the markets for 6 a.m. Try to wake up about 4:30 or 5 a.m. and I try and be ready for about 6 a.m. Now, why is this? Why 6 a.m.? Why so early? The reason for this is CLS. So I want to just show you a very short video. This will only take a couple of minutes, but it's really important.
In-out swaps. At 6:30 a.m. we issue a revised pay-in schedule.
Okay, 6:30 a.m. This is when they issue a revised pay-in schedule. So we have to take note of this time because it's very important for the dollar. Okay, what CLS do. Okay, so CLS is a clearinghouse. It's a kind of specialized financial institution, and it's designed to eliminate risk in foreign exchange transactions. It uses a process called payment versus payment, which ensures both sides of foreign exchange transactions are settled simultaneously. So this is to reduce risk in the foreign exchange market. Now, this was set up by the G10 central banks, and it was due to something called Herstatt risk. This was a collapse of German bank house Herstatt in 1974, I believe. So CLS was set up in response to that to provide like a counterparty and a smooth settlement of foreign exchange transactions. But why am I telling you all this? Because the times at which CLS operate, because they process such a large volume of foreign exchange transactions, we should note the times which they do their transactions. Okay, so 6:30. We'll just take a note of that on our NQ chart. Okay, 6:30. Right there. Okay, back to the CLS video.
That specifies the minimum amount that must be paid in by set times. Spreading the pay-ins over a number of hours minimises the draw on liquidity. At 7 a.m, each member begins paying the required currency amount, either directly or through a Nostro agent, in which they hold foreign currency at other banks. The system takes each matched pair of payment instructions in turn from the settlement queue and checks whether they satisfy the CLS settlement risk management tests. Using our unique payment versus payment system, the relevant payment instructions are then settled simultaneously and with finality and irrevocability.
Go. So that's just what we were talking about. Payment versus payment, that's what they call it. So 7 a.m, another key time that we should know. That also happens to be the open of the Frankfurt market, or the Frankfurt session, whatever you want to call it. So let's go back to our NQ chart and just note that time, 7 a.m. as well. Now, one other time that I've noticed is relevant to the market is around 7:41 to 7:45-ish. I don't know why this is. I think it's something to do with the CLS schedule. That's not on their website this time. It's just the time that I've noted the market seems to either reverse or accelerate, especially in foreign exchange. Okay, but we're applying this to NQ. So I'm just going to note this time as well, this kind of range. So back to the CLS video because there's still more.
And the associated long balances are paid out to both members. The settlement process continues until around 9 a.m, when the settlement of approximately 1 million payment instructions, totaling an average of over $6.5 trillion per day, is complete. The pay-in and the payout of long balances continues until midday, when each...
Okay, there you go. So that's quite a lot of information we can use. So the settlement process aims to end around 9 a.m. Okay, this is all UK London time. Now, what you'll frequently see, especially in the foreign exchange market and sometimes in indices, is the market will choose its direction for the day around this time between 9 and 9:30. So we'll give it a range. What I think is the settlement doesn't actually finish directly on 9. It kind of continues throughout the session. But between 9 and 9:30 is a relevant time as well. So remember the holy trinity of time, price, volume. We don't just look at price alone. We also look at time in detail, and we also look at volume in detail. That's all we need to be a successful trader. So what's the situation here at 5:57? This is around the time where I would be getting to my screen. I have noted a time at 6:04 because on Discord I noted that NQ is sitting on yesterday's VPOC right now, and then by 6:08 I was selling. Okay, so 6:04 to 6:08. Now, setup 1. If you remember the rules, we need first some kind of liquidity grab outside of a key level. We have both this kind of de facto Asia high that looks like a double top. We have the true Asia high up here, which is, yes, after midnight is counts as Asia session. So I would call this the de facto Asia high, the one that's likely to be the first kind of drawn liquidity, if you like. And this high is also to be noted. Okay, so in the morning, this is what you've got. Now, I've already noted the TPO point of control here at 17579, but what about volumes? Okay, we're talking about the trading on the 21st. The previous day's volume point of control is 17570. Okay, 175. PD previous day, VPOC volume point of control. So kind of interesting situation. You should be looking at this with a downwards bias due to the H4 swing structure. Yes, we have taken a daily low, but we also have some interesting swing lows that could be targets. So we have this electronic trading hours low from, actually that was RTH low, swing low from the previous day. That could be a target, but the low-hanging fruit would be the Asia low. So at 6:08, that's when I said I was testing sells. So let's see what happens on market replay. Now, first we get the spike up above this Asia high. Now, could you buy into this? Yeah, absolutely, but that would be more discretionary, and I want you to focus more on setup 1, which is more systematic, and it allows you to use alerts and take less trades but higher quality trades. Okay, does that make sense? So I would have an alert on this high. I'd be doing other things, you know, not watching the screen necessarily, but if it was getting close to my level, then I'd be interested. So what was happening here? We did the first kind of liquidity draw, liquidity grab, if you like, and it tapped the previous day's volume point control. Now it looks like it overshot a little bit, so let's just have a look on the volumes again. Previous day VA is at got one at 591. That's the RTH, and 599. Okay, 591 to 599. That would be the previous day's value area high. Okay. Now I said on Discord that I was entering trades here. So let's see on Footprint what that looks like. So at the time, 608-ish. I think that's what I said. Yep, 608. Okay, so this is the situation. That's the liquidity grab candle. It tapped the previous day's VWAP close. That's 17573. Sorry, 17575. So we'll just note that as well. 17575. So in the language of setup 1, we have the key levels and the trading levels. The trading levels you know already, but you can use previous day's volume point control, you can use the previous day VWAP close, and you can use the TPO POC. So you have a kind of range of choices, and this is why you need a system of volume to actually get into your trade correctly. So I said I entered here, 607, 608. So why did I do that? Looks like we had this run up, and I took a aggressive entry. Okay, probably a bit of FOMO there because the full rules have not been met. What we would need is a break below some significant level from the breakout candle. Now we did actually do that by breaking the max value of this kind of breakout liquidity grab candle. So I took an extremely aggressive entry there, which probably wasn't good practice. What I should have done was be patient and maybe wait for this breakdown. We come and test this imbalance, we come back up, and maybe noted this high volume node for a retest later on. Okay, so let's have a look at the replay again, see what happens. Yeah, we get a decent move down here. Okay, so 17 points, not bad. Usually for intraday, I'd be looking for more, and I'd also be targeting the Asia low. So at this point, maybe I would have taken a partial, but what I was doing, in all honesty, I was on the phone to somebody. It was I was on a long queue. It was basically on the phone to Royal Mail about a package, and they were messing me around, so I wasn't really focused on the trade in hand. So I think I took a break even here, or a partial or something, but essentially I didn't carry through this trade to its completion. So this is why I want to talk a little bit about your kind of sympathetic nervous system versus your parasympathetic nervous system. If you're in a trade or looking for a trade, you don't want to be doing things that are going to put you in fight or flight, because that will destroy your logical thinking. If you get into a trade, you should be trying to activate your parasympathetic nervous system. You can do things like, breathing exercises, Wim Hof breathing. You can even do meditation, or you can even just go partake in some kind of hobby, something that you like doing. Basically, you need to stay calm while you're doing this. So what happens here? 622. Okay, so by 622, we've kind of moved down a bit and tested this imbalance, and 3 times it held. So we should be studying that and thinking, maybe it'll move up a bit more, especially if it tests it several times and rejects. I call this a kind of lining up confirmation. I don't really have a good name for it, but if you see an imbalance that's tested several times and it rejects, say 3 or more, then that's likely to hold that level. Okay, so you need to really be watching and paying attention to the order flow, and not doing things like going on the phone and getting distracted. So what do? We move back up. We test this high volume node that's denoted by 2 max values on the M3 candles, and looks like we get a failure to really close above. We have some delta divergence, especially on this candle. So yeah, this would fulfill the rules for re-entry. Delta divergence on a high volume node or imbalance. So all the conditions are met. We're really failing to break this level. So we get a further move down. But now the market comes back up, okay? So it's not got to our target yet. So I think I took a break even on this trade. I was aggravated. I wasn't really in a good frame of mind. So I was not hunting for a re-entry on this trade. I just thought, that's it. It didn't work. I'm going to do something else. So I didn't really put a lot of thought into how I could re-enter this trade. But basically, what we did was make equal highs here. Okay, relatively equal highs. So that kind of gives you a sign, this weak high, that we may revisit this area. Okay. Now, how does that look on order flow? Well, you have this unfinished auction on both of these candles. So that should tell you something. That's sometimes called unfinished business on order flow. So it should tell you that we're actually going to revisit and finish this auction, because you want to see a 0 at the top of any finished auction. Okay, so we've got a kind of double, triple top, weak high. So that's information that we can use now to maybe trade again. So market moves down. What's next? Of course, we move up to finish this auction. And where do we go? We actually end up tagging the real Asia high, just breaking it. Okay, so that's another key level. Trading level, well, you have this hidden gap. Here. Yeah, cherry picking a bit. I know this is all hindsight trading, but you should still be mindful that this trade could still work, because what are we doing? We're gathering liquidity above Asia highs. So logic should tell you that we are gearing up for a reversal. So let's just have a look on the market profile to see if there's anything else of note. 21st. So got this kind of low volume area. See this kind of LVN, low volume node. Quite hard to see, but you can see the market didn't spend a lot of time in this area, so I'm just going to note that as 24 to 28. First. So I've just noticed that I've mislabeled the previous day's party control on TPOC. VPOC, sorry, seems to be up here on the 20th, but that's TPO. Okay, sorry, I got that wrong. But basically, the main level of relevance is we have contacted the volume point of control. Looks like it's failed, but all we were doing was resolving this unfinished auction and taking the Asia high. And we did have a hidden gap on the price action. Not really visible in the market profile. I appreciate that, but you should be able to use logic and just say, okay, we're resolving this unfinished auction on the 21st. So we get a sharp reversal. Can we enter on this on the order flow? Well, let's take a look. So yeah, I can see we had this sharp move up. We have this high volume node, two max values together, plus an imbalance. That's on the breakout candle. So it's broken this imbalance and broken this high volume node. So that's a sign of weakness. And then we can use this imbalance and high volume node as a kind of retest level to get in. And you can see the market came, tested it. Very slight delta divergence, probably more noticeable on M1, but this is an example of a kind of lining up confirmation, which I'll explain in more detail in another video. But essentially the idea is if you have a level of interest, like a high volume node or an imbalance, and it's just testing it frequently and rejecting, like more than 3 times, then you can use that as your entry level. So that would be your entry on 17582 to 17584. Yeah. So there you go. That was that kind of test of that high volume node. Also this kind of hidden gap. So that's a kind of double confluence. And there we go. Huge sell-off to 20th of February, swing low. So you can see the signal was given. Now, personally speaking, I messed up this entry. I think I took a small partial or a break even and then gave up. And what I should have done is stayed in a calm frame of mind, seen what was going on here. But this is all woulda, shoulda, coulda. you know. So I just wanted to show you this because it was a pretty good demonstration of setup 1 and the power of it, because you can just utilize alerts. You could set your alert on the kind of de facto Asia high with the double top, or just the real Asia high, and that's when you want to start looking at the footprint to, you know, determine your entries. If you want to be strict about using delta divergence, then sometimes you can just switch into M1 at this moment and look for that. I also note we're on the second band of VWAP, which is where we spend, I think it's 95% of the time within the second deviation of VWAP. So that added a little extra confluence to this trade. But anyway, I think that's roughly all I want to say. But yeah, I am kind of back testing. This is a trade I gave a signal for, but personally I didn't execute it properly. This is one for the journal, but I think it's a very good illustration of setup 1. Now, notice also the timing. 741. This is a very frequent turning point in the market. I think it's part of the CLS schedule. Now, they don't note this on the video. I've just noted this kind of myself through trading Forex over the years. So usually it's about 741 to 743-ish is a time you really want to take note of. And I'm not just like cherry picking this time, and for this example, this is something I have noted over time, over years actually. It's a time you want to take note of. Notice also here we had our first sell off at 7 a.m. and here our first sell off was about 6 a.m. So quite interesting, the timings, especially this kind of 741 one. And then what happens at 9:30. Let's have a look. This is when we get a bit of consolidation and reversal. You see the market kept hunting and gathering liquidity before it actually makes its move. This is all very deliberate. And I think the reversal didn't occur until another key time. At 1 p.m. obviously is the time to watch. This is where we got the first reversal. But this would also kind of fall under setup 1, but I think we'll just leave that for another day. But yeah, I hope this video was informative for you. Really, I want you to focus on this one setup because it'll keep you away from trading with discretion. A lot of people will, use Bookmap and Footprint to find trades when they want to trade. That might be through greed or tilt. But if you use alerts, don't spend time screen watching, you'll find setups like this on a daily basis on several assets. You just want to pay very careful attention to the timing and the order flow, and obviously your levels. Previous day's volume point control was obviously very critical here, and then we went up to tag the real Asia high and just filled in a little inefficiency. So, that's an interesting setup. Potentially you could have got 50 points. So that's the kind of targets that we aim for. 50 points, 100 points maybe sometimes, but a 50-point trade would be considered a really good trade if you had like 2 or 3 e-minis per account. That would do really well. That could be a week's work just to trade like that. So I think that's enough. That's all I wanted to cover. And thanks for listening, and we'll talk again soon.